That's true.
All right. I think we're going to get started now. And so, as I said, if you weren't here before, I'm Dr. Mark DiStefano, that's Dr. Thomas Brand. We're going to discuss some advanced solutions for hair loss. We're going to discuss both the surgical and the non-surgical, and we're going to divide those up a little bit as well. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I'm a diplomat of the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgery. I'm a fellow in that as well, which means that I've been there a long time. I've done their examinations and whatnot. I'm also a fellow of the International Society of Hair Restoration and Surgery, which is a group which is dedicated to education in the field of hair restoration surgery. I've been fortunate enough to be a speaker at many events around the world, as well as I've been able to teach over 20 physicians over the years in hair restoration surgery. I've also been pointed out by Harvard Medical International as one of the people who service and teach well in the field of hair restoration. Dr. Brand, he's board certified in emergency medicine. He's an assistant clinical professor at Tufts Medical School. He has trained with me and joined me in 2021. He is now the chief surgeon or medical director for Northeast Hair Restoration. And his specialty really is in the no shave, where we don't have to shave the back of your head. And we'll go over that more. Actually, he'll go over that more later on.
Yeah, and just so you know, I'm Mark's best student of all those 20 physicians he trained. Right, Mark? Yes, good.
Yes. Northeast Hair Restoration is a division of Miniaturization, and we are literally the leading medical center for hair restoration, both medical and or non-surgical and surgical. We started off here as a women's hair rejuvenation center, which we've maintained. And then afterwards, we added the surgical division to it. We have been very successful in what we've done to date and very proud of what we've done. We definitely offer the most comprehensive approach to hair restoration, and we're the only facility of its kind in New England and New York. I can't speak beyond those cities, but we do have locations in Boston, Worcester, Scarsdale, and New York City. We're also expanding into southeastern Massachusetts and northeastern Massachusetts. We're going to be discussing, you can look at this real quick, understanding hair loss, surgical solutions, transplants in females, eyebrows, and non-surgical treatments, followed by the last one will be a Q&A session. And we want the questions, there's a specific area to write down questions. Don't use the chat because that won't be something that we will be going to. Okay, understanding hair loss. Thomas.
So I guess this is me. When you come into Northeast Hair Restoration, we sort of have a list of things we're going to do for you. And initially, there's going to be a consultation, and we'll discuss what the expectations are. We'll do a medical assessment to decide if you're appropriate for a hair transplant, and obviously, we'll do an examination of your scalp, and then we'll come up with a plan which will be personalized for you, and then we'll talk about what the costs are, and if costs are prohibitive, come up with some sort of financial options for you, and then it's a matter of scheduling when your procedure would be, and then follow-ups and further treatments after that. So that's sort of a generalized overview of what happens when you come in for a consultation and an evaluation. I don't know if this is you or me, Mark, but so we're going to talk about a bunch of different hair loss, but first is male pattern baldness, which is what we treat the bulk of the time on Northeast Hair Restoration, but Meditress does primarily female hair loss. And it's an important subject because 85% of men especially are going to lose hair and 95% of them are going to have at least thinning. There's only about 7% of men who won't lose a certain amount of hair by the time they're in their late 90s. And hair loss is can be quite severe. And some people it can start in their teenage years or in their early 20s and can be quite devastating. And with women, 50%, I can't really see what that says there, Michael, but by age 50, 50% will have some visible hair loss. And that's typically they'll have lost some 50% of their hair. So we often think about hair loss as being a male problem, but it's a huge problem for women as well. So I think this is you, Mark.
Okay. The causes of androgenic alopecia, what that means is genetics play a role in this. Alopecia just means hair loss. So this is genetic hair loss that you would get from, a lot of people think it's just from the mother's side, a multifactorial thing. It can come from the mother's side, the father, on more than one gene that will cause it. It's inherited from either side of the family. There is a hormone sensitivity in male pattern hair loss as a result of testosterone going from testosterone to dihydroxytestosterone. The DHT actually shrinks follicles themselves, and it's called evolution. They shrink down literally. The follicle itself rises up. Almost disengages completely from the network, as you will see in the third one, and they stop producing visible hair. All the follicles actually remain there, but they're not working at that time. And one of the things they're trying to do in research is to reactivate those cells. They have not figured out a way to do it. They've been able to do it in mice. But what they get out of mice is it doesn't go for that many generations of growth, number one, and number two, it doesn't come in a coherent fashion. In other words, it comes in a bundle, and so it's not what you would want. Next slide. The Norwood classification, there's a standard scale that we used. Otar Norwood, who recently passed away, was the one who came up with the scale, and it basically goes from 1 to 7. 1 being virtually no loss, and 7 being almost total loss. We have this little rim of hair on the back, and there's everything in between. I mean, you can look at the pictures and just see the various styles. This is a generalization, obviously, but most men will fit into one of these patterns. It better helps us as physicians to understand when we talk to each other exactly what we're talking about. So if we talk about a class 4 or class 5, it really makes a difference for us to be able to know exactly what we're dealing with.
So before we start talking about male pattern hair loss, we want to talk about female pattern hair loss. I don't know how many women are here because a lot of men are interested in hair transplants, but surprisingly, because so many women have trouble with hair loss, a lot of them are interested in surgical treatments and other treatments as well. And what I said earlier is some 50% of women will have hair loss by age 50, but the women's hair loss is different than men. They lose hair diffusely, and oftentimes where men tend to lose their hair in the front and work its way back, women will maintain their frontal hairline, but then lose hair diffusely throughout. And it's rare that they'll have total baldness, but thinning over the entire scalp. And classically, if you look at that picture on the left, we'll see thinning down the part, or sometimes thinning in the front right behind the hairline, or classically along the temples. And with men, the hair loss is typically due to your testosterone being converted to dihydrotestosterone, and the dihydrotestosterone is causing your hair loss. Unfortunately, for women, like all things in women, it's much more complex. it's due to hormones and stress and underlying conditions, and different hormones like aromatase, which may have something to do with the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. And people haven't even completely figured out what's causing hair loss in women. But fortunately, there are treatments that we can do to help them with their hair loss. So just like in the men where we showed the Norwood scale for hair loss in women, there's a Ludwig scale, there's a Hamilton scale. They've come up with different scales, but in the Ludwig scale, it shows you how women typically hold on to the front of their hairline and then tend to lose it further back and especially across the middle. But you can't necessarily see it, but they're losing hair even in the back of their hairline as well. And you know, they have sort of a grade 1, a grade 2, a grade 3. But even if you're a female with a grade 1 hair loss, it can be emotional. And a lot of people come see us because they want to stop their hair loss right in the beginning. And that's the best time to come see us at Miniaturist and Northeast Hair Restoration in order to stop this hair loss. So here's some facts that we talked about already, which is 50% by age 50. It's much more complex. So what it says here, male pattern baldness is due to dihydrotestosterone. But for women, we want you to come in and find out exactly what may be causing your hair loss. Could it be thyroid issues? Could it be iron or anemia or hormones related to estrogens you're taking, or maybe you have polycystic ovarian syndrome or too much stress, or some of the medications that you're taking may be affecting your hair loss. So when women present for hair loss, we don't directly go in to say, oh, you need a hair transplant. There are much better treatments that avoid having to do surgery right away. And it really requires a thorough evaluation, including lab tests and trichoscopy, where we look at your hair. And then if we can figure out what's causing your hair loss, then we can start treatment to manage that. And so this is at the bottom here, you know, the Miniaturist specializes in female patterned hair loss. And it's a great place to come in order to get started to try and halt your hair loss and hopefully get some hair growth back in the areas where you're losing hair. This is you, Mark.
So now we'll talk a little bit about the surgical hair restoration. It's basically advanced techniques for permanent results.